You know, March Madness is in full swing as we narrow the field for the Final Four. So I decided to do a little digging to give us maybe a little bit more of that water cooler chit chat that you need. So here's our useless trivia March Madness version. All right, let's get this rolling. Did you know the first NCAA championship, 1939, who won it? It was the Oregon, not Ducks, not yet, the Oregon Webfoots. Who knew? And they beat Ohio State. Here's one that I had to think really hard about. Who was the first sportscaster to actually call the tournament March Madness? It goes back to 1982, and it would be Brent Musburger with CBS. Now, the term was actually coined or used in 1939 by an Illinois high school ref when he was talking about tourney time in his neck of the woods back then, but it wasn't used on TV and stuck until 1982 with Brent Musburger. How about this? The odds of getting a bracket perfect? 1 in 9.2 quintillion. Here's how you put that into perspective. This was literally written out. You are more likely to be struck by lightning, win the lottery, and have a snake come up through your toilet in the same day than have a perfect bracket. Okay. What school has the most Final Four appearances? That would be UNC, 21. Here's a question for you. When did the tournament expand to 64 teams? Now let's back up. You can think about that for a minute. In the early years, like in the 1950s and up until 1975, there were only 16 teams in the tournament. That's because only the conference championship winners of each conference would go to the tournament. But in 1975, they expanded to 32. It was 1985 when they went to 64 teams. So now when you're watching these games with your friends, you will have the NCAA March Madness Useless Trivia. You're welcome. So let me tell you a North Carolina tie to that stat about, I started geeking out with all these NCAA and tournament stats. There's a North Carolina tie as to why they increased those numbers of teams. So back in the old days when it was only the 16 winners of the conference tournament championships, NC State and Maryland were two of the best teams in the back in the ACC days, early ACC days. And NC State won the tournament. Well, Maryland had, I think they had a better record, and they were so upset that, and a lot of teams that were in that same boat said, we're better than the team that beat us in that, happened to beat us in that tournament. We deserve a chance to go play for a national championship. That's why in the 70s they increased it from 16 to 32. And then in the 80s they decided to broaden it even further and go, because there are more conferences then, so they went to 64. Now technically it's 68 because we have a play-in game, but it's a lot of schools.
Makes it more exciting because then everybody kind of has somebody to cheer for. So I saw when Manning came on screen, because you do mention UNC a lot. So how was that for you this time around when they didn't even get to dance?
I mean, it happened in 2010. I remember it's happened before. I remember, and then we'd either play in the NIT or not. And this year we chose not to. But it's the kind of thing I think where it's a reality check, because a lot of schools like the Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, we're so used to going.
Dominating.
You know, when you don't go, it's kind of like, whoa, it's reality check. But we weren't good enough. We were right on the edge.
It kind of looked like you were wearing a dark blue shirt in that video too.
Not royal blue. It was navy blue.
It was looking kind of royal to me.
No, that will not happen.